I don't have a lot of friends and I rarely hang out with people. And for context, I'm about to be 30 years old. The biggest reason for this is because I'm an introvert. Introverts get easily drained by other people and need a lot of alone time to recharge their social battery. The reason for that, at least the reason that I've come up with that makes the most logical sense, is because introverts are almost always empaths. Empaths are essentially emotional sponges. We soak in all of the feelings of the person that we're talking to. We feel things on a very deep level. We're not surface level types of people. We like to have meaningful conversations. That does come with a price. We leave feeling exhausted, not only emotionally, but physically. When I'm around other people, I'm looking forward to the moment when I can leave and go back to my private space and recharge. I have to be honest. I'm not a very outgoing person to begin with. I can go weeks, months, even years without hanging out with a friend, even talking to them. I can go extended periods of time. And I have to communicate this to let them know that I'm not mad at them. There's nothing that they did that upset me. It's just the type of person that I am. The best people for me as an introvert are people who understand that. That has helped tremendously, is just communicating, hey, I'm not that person that will respond to your text all the time, answer your call all the time. I may not reach out as often. I'll get into that a little more later because there are some drawbacks to having that type of friendship. But another huge factor that has played into this whole lack of friendships, lack of socialization, is because I've lived alone for 5 years. When you live alone, you can grow accustomed to not having people around you. The peacefulness and the tranquility of it is very addictive. If I have someone come over to my apartment, I need to be prepared as soon as in advance as I possibly can by that other person. Not only am I making sure that my apartment is clean, I have food in my refrigerator, but I also have to prepare myself for the emotional factor that comes into play and the social factor. I need to make sure that I'm in an upbeat mood, that I'm in the headspace where I can have a conversation. You know, I'm a very moody person, I will admit it. I do go through periods where I just want to be alone and I don't want to talk to anyone. Now, some of that has to do with my depression and anxiety. Actually, not some of it, most of it, a good majority of it. But naturally, I'm just more on the quiet side. Yeah, I'm talking to you right now and I'm yapping away, but I'm telling you, if you get me one-on-one, there's going to be a lot of periods of silence. And if you're not someone that can work through that or be okay and comfortable in that, and I always tell people, hey, just so you know, I'm chilling and I'm having a wonderful time. My lack of conversation right now isn't because I'm feeling awkward. It's because I'm actually very comfortable around you. And sometimes I don't feel the need to talk. Most of the time people understand it. Living alone, you just don't talk very much, right? I remember a few times living alone where I didn't speak a word out loud that entire day. I actually had to remind myself that I could speak. So I would just say something random like, hello. As an introvert, it's harder to maintain friendships or find people who have similar types of characteristics or who are understanding. Yes, they are out there, but you have to search a little harder to find those people. Another huge factor into why I don't have many friends is because I love my freedom. I think a huge reason for why I like living alone is because there's no one telling me what to do. I call the shots and I decide almost everything. I'm not on someone else's time and I'm not tied down. That is huge for me. I'm a low maintenance friend. A low maintenance friend is someone who doesn't need that constant communication back and forth 24/7. They're the furthest thing from clingy. As I've gotten older, I've figured out that the best people for me are those who are also considered low maintenance friends. I am not a fan of clingy and needy people. I'm just not. It sounds a bit hypocritical because I talked earlier about being an empath and wanting to have more heartfelt conversations, not wanting to stay at the surface level. But there's a fine line to that. I am not someone that does well in friendships where you're texting me constantly throughout the day. You're wanting to have my full-on attention, where I have to drop everything to answer you. It's not going to work. I just don't have the capacity to deal with that because, quite honestly, I'm dealing with my own things. I have a friend that lives in another state, and I see her once a year, sometimes once every 2 years. And usually I will go visit her, and it works out fantastic. Whenever we see each other, it's as if nothing has changed. No time has gone by. We pick up right where we left off. We hang out for however many days we're hanging out. Maybe it's 3 days. We say goodbye, and then we go on about our lives. We might DM each other on Instagram or send a quick text message, but other than that, we don't really talk. And I really enjoy that type of dynamic. It feels very healthy to me because I've had friends where they're blowing up my phone all day long, wanting to talk about the most meaningless things, calling me up, trying to get me involved in their drama. I see conversation more as purposeful. If you're going to reach out to me, it's because either you want to hang out or there's something important that you need to let me know. I get it. Friendships are about feeling that you can trust that person to talk about any and everything under the sun, and you won't feel judged, and you will be accepted with open arms. But I need my space, okay? I'm not that type of person that will text someone about something very trivial. It's just not my personality. A huge part of friendships is compromising in some situations. If you're going on a vacation with a friend, you have to sometimes do things that you don't want to do. This is just an example that I'm using. And for me, I march to the beat of my own drum. When I'm on vacation, for example, I do what I feel in the moment. Following a strict schedule, I kind of let things naturally unfold. So the type of friend for me is someone who also is that way. I've heard a lot of stories from people about, their friend wanted to do something in this way and they didn't want to do it that way, but they had to do it, and the whole time they were miserable. And I try to avoid situations like that as often as possible. I'm going to use the example of vacation again because I think vacations are something that a lot of friends end up doing together at some point or another. I went on vacation with one of my only friends. We went to Mexico. This is why her and I are such great friends, because she doesn't mind if her and I split up for a little bit. And I know going on vacation with friends, you should stick together because you never know what could happen. But we were on the resort the whole time. One of the days, she tells me, hey, I'm going to go hang out by the pool and I kind of just want to be alone. I hope that's okay with you, but I just want to let you know. I'm like, okay, let's go. That's super fine. Like, no problem whatsoever. Honestly, I wanted to be alone. I was looking forward to going off to the other pool on the other side of the resort, listening to my music, and zoning out while I'm looking at the ocean. I do understand that there are certain situations where you have to agree to do something, but for the most part, I try to make sure that I'm hanging out with someone who is more flexible and doesn't take offense to things. I do also have a dismissive avoidant attachment style. I do want to be clear on that. And that is not something to be proud of, okay? Dismissive avoidant attachment is one of the worst that you could have. I'm not even kidding you. There are a lot of drawbacks to this attachment style, more than there are benefits. So this love for freedom that I'm talking about can also be considered a red flag. I do like to look at both sides of a situation as best as I can. The overall synopsis of this attachment style is craving an extreme amount of independence, whether it be in romantic relationships or friendships. Us dismissive avoidants are very strict with our boundaries and we're very secretive. The independence is crucial for us. We don't really allow people to get close to us emotionally. And again, it sounds hypocritical because earlier I was talking about how I crave deep connections with other people, but yet I also can't have too much of it. I crave the deep connections because it means that the connection is meaningful and that you trust me. But I also want to make sure that I have my privacy. People who ask me a lot of questions about my day-to-day life or my personal life, I tend to cast them to the side or push them away. And this is something that I'm working on as best as I can in therapy, okay? But this love for freedom and this dismissive avoidant attachment style, working in conjunction with one another, makes it extremely difficult for me to maintain friendships and to hang out with other people. Because hanging out with people means compromising my time. This sounds like a giant red flag, but I want to talk about this because there are people out there who also operate in very similar ways. Being an introvert and needing a lot of freedom are not the only reasons why I don't have a lot of friends and I don't hang out with a lot of people. I also have a very poor track record with friendships. I have been an outcast since as far back as elementary school. I've never been able to find a group that I fit into. I always felt very isolated. I was a loner a lot of my time throughout elementary and even through college. I've always felt very different than other people. I was never part of the popular crowd. Sometimes I was bullied. I would eat lunch a lot of times alone. It's sad when you think about it. I think also a lot of this feeling like an outcast is related again to the depression and anxiety that I have had. I had friends throughout various periods of my elementary through college life, but the friendship never sustained. It died out. I always attracted people who were using me, were fake, were flaky, were jealous of me, were trying to compete with me. When they would use me, a lot of times it would be for that emotional support. They would come to me with their problems. I would listen intently because that's just the type of person that I am. I'm older now and I've learned to set better boundaries, and I can recognize when someone is trying to do that to me early on, and I shut it down right away. But it's been hard to make friends throughout my entire life. I've had to cut off a lot of people too, even recently. I could tell you countless stories of things that friends have done to me over the years, but we would be sitting here for months. I'm not even kidding you. That's how much I've gone through with various friendships. And that is why at this point in my life currently, I only have 2 people that I can call a friend. Yes, I have acquaintances, but I'm talking about people that I connect with on a semi-consistent basis. And it's a healthy friendship. It's not one-sided. There isn't this underlying animosity or competition that they're trying to create with me. If you're wondering if I have trust issues, I absolutely do. But it's because I've been f***ed over so many times. So I'm a bit jaded. And my tolerance for and lies is at 0%. Humans need connection. They need a sense of community, a sense of belonging. And I'm well aware of that. I've been considering all of these different factors that I've been talking about. The best thing for me to do is to take hanging out in social settings in doses. My mom and I were talking about this not too long ago, actually. She used my brother as an example. I guess her and my brother had been talking. My brother is very popular, okay? He's in the music industry and he has a lot of connections, a lot of followers on Instagram. He's someone that a lot of people know, but there's a side to him that is also very introverted, and he likes to hang out a lot of times alone in his own private space. And he was telling my mom that he has friends reach out to him very often to hang out and go to events and do different activities, and he just decides when he wants to do it. Sometimes he's in the mood for it, other times he's not. It's similar to what I was saying earlier. It's on his own time. He just gauges how he's feeling that day, and if he's not up for it, he lets them know, hey, not today. That perspective and approach to it helped me come to my own conclusion that I also am very similar. I also like to decide, hey, this seems like something that I'm interested in doing. Let me go and do it with this person. Or, you know what? I'm not up for it today. I don't go out very often in general, and I even talked about that in a previous video. I'm very particular about when and why I'm going out, because I do like to keep an element of mystery to my life, but I also like to make sure that I'm in the headspace to go out and there's a purpose as to why I'm going out. But I do think that isolating for long periods of time does make depression worse. If you have depression and if you have anxiety, if you're purposely closing yourself off from the world and from people and from connections, that is not in any way beneficial to you. And it's going to make you feel worse, quite frankly. I know when I've been severely depressed and I've ignored phone calls, text messages, put my phone on do not disturb. Yeah, it was nice to take a break, but it was also like, damn, I'm not feeling any better about myself. I'm in my apartment. It's pitch black. I don't want to get out of bed. In those moments, I should have sought out socialization. If you're in a dark place, the best thing you can actually do for yourself is get outside and go hang out with a friend. It can be something as simple as, hey, do you want to go get a cup of coffee and just talk for a little bit? I mean, it doesn't have to be this extravagant hangout session, but that's something that I'm trying to get better at doing. I've been invited out many times and I've rejected it because I was like, oh, I just don't want to go. I don't like the vibe, or I'm not feeling up to it, and I should have just went. You know what I ended up doing? Just staying in my apartment, scrolling on my phone, or wasting time watching a TV show, or literally sometimes just staring up at the ceiling. I am working on being more social and outgoing. I've spent so much time solo that I just feel like I'm at a point in my life now where I do want to actively and deliberately get better at making friends, having conversations. You will go crazy if you are alone and you're a hermit. I know that there are some people out there who have done it successfully and they're completely okay with it, but I don't think I could go full-blown hermit mode where I'm literally on a little remote island and it's just a little house plopped on a piece of rock and there's water surrounding me. No. I do like peace and quiet and an opportunity to have that option, but I also think that it especially helps when you are doing something that you love. I found a community that I think will be really great for me, and that is the tech house and EDM music scene. I used to shut that genre of music out. I used to make fun of it. I didn't understand what was so great about it, but one day randomly I started listening to an artist who makes tech house music. He's actually from the suburbs of Chicago, and I think that's why I liked him so much. His music blew me away. The DJ sets that he would put on for his audiences were phenomenal. And so since then, I've just been completely immersed in it, and I want to go to music festivals. I'm actually going to one over the summer and in the fall. I do think this is a great way for me to meet people and to branch out and to start feeling more confident in social settings, because I do think confidence is a huge factor in this. I've never truly been confident talking amongst multiple people or holding a conversation, because I was always afraid that they were judging me or that I looked weird, or, just the whole social anxiety factor of it. Obviously, when I make friends, I want to make sure that they're healthy, they're sustainable, that I set boundaries early on if I notice something that might be a bit triggering for me. I know I'm not perfect, okay? I know that I've probably been friends with people in the past, and those people probably thought that I was doing X, Y, and Z. Maybe I wasn't capable of being the friend that they needed me to be. And I take full accountability for that. I'm not out here trying to preach that I'm this perfect person and I've never made mistakes in friendships. I know I probably have. But for the most part, I've always been very loyal, and I always listen to people with empathy, sympathy, care, compassion. Therapy has been immensely helpful throughout this journey that I'm having with finding friends and figuring out what works best for me in friendships. People talk a lot about therapy. They throw that word out there constantly and say, go get a therapist and figure it out. And to an extent, yeah, I agree with that. Because I do think therapy has a significant amount of benefits. People don't go around saying get a therapist and not mean it, okay? It's because it actually works. Having someone to bounce your ideas off of or vent to that isn't someone you know personally is a game changer. Just by going to therapy, I've been able to improve how I communicate, because I'm not the best communicator. I need to be honest. I don't reach out to people first. I sometimes don't know how to hold a conversation. It's getting better. It really is. At the end of the day, you have to do what is best for you. Do some self-reflection. Think about your past friendships that didn't work out and why. Write down the qualities that you are seeking in future friendships. Acknowledge your character flaws and acknowledge your strengths. Relationships in general are very complex. Sometimes people are in your life for a season. They're there to teach you a lesson. You outgrow people. You realize that it's just not working out. You're at a different phase of your life. They're at a different phase of their life. Talking to you all has been just so gratifying, and I feel like I have a friend in you all. I really do. I know that many of you are in the same situation. You've gone through similar experiences. As cliche and annoying as it sounds, I want you to know that you are not alone. Let me stop ranting because that's all I've got, but thank you so much, as always. Bye.